There was a moment in my life when everything felt heavy, repetitive, and meaningless. I woke up every morning with the same routine, the same habits, the same thoughts running in circles in my head. It wasn't depression exactly, but it was something worse in a way: numbness. That dull, colorless state where you're technically alive, but not living. I thought life was supposed to be about progress, goals, success, and chasing the next achievement, but deep down, I was running on autopilot. I was existing, not thriving. Then something shifted, something small, almost invisible at first, but it changed everything. That mindset shift didn't just help me, it transformed the way I see the world and the way I live every single day. We all carry hidden assumptions about life. Beliefs we don't question because they feel so obvious, so deeply ingrained that we assume they must be true. Mine was simple. I believed that happiness and fulfillment were outcomes. If I worked hard, achieved enough, built the right kind of life, then at the end of the tunnel, I would finally arrive at peace. That invisible belief was the trap that held me. It chained me to an endless cycle of striving and disappointment. And maybe you felt it too, that quiet voice that says, when I finally get this job, when I finally have this relationship, when I finally fix myself, then I'll be okay. But what if that entire belief is wrong? What if the future you're waiting for will never come because peace isn't waiting ahead of you? It's something you create right now. The shift began when I started noticing the language of my thoughts. I realized almost every sentence I told myself began with, when. When this happens, then I'll feel better. When I finish this, then I'll be proud. My entire identity was built on conditions. And the irony is, every time I reached one of those milestones, the satisfaction lasted for a fleeting moment before the next when appeared on the horizon. It was a treadmill with no end. And one day, I asked myself the most dangerous question a person can ask. What if there is no finish line? What if the future never gives me the peace I'm searching for? The silence after that question was terrifying. But in that silence, something cracked open. Here's the truth. Life never delivers meaning to you. You bring meaning to life. That was the first spark of the shift. Instead of chasing peace, I began asking, how can I live in a way where peace is not a reward, but a practice? This wasn't about pretending to be happy or forcing positivity. It was about detaching from the illusion that the external world would ever give me internal wholeness. Suddenly, every ordinary moment, the walk to the store, the morning coffee, even the silence in my room, was no longer just filler space between big achievements. These moments were life itself. And I had been ignoring them, but I want to be clear. This realization wasn't a burst of enlightenment where everything changed overnight. It was a slow unraveling, a confrontation with my ego. My ego wanted certainty, control, and recognition. It whispered constantly that my worth depended on the outcome of my efforts. It convinced me that if I slowed down, I would fall behind. However, the mindset shift taught me something radical. Falling behind is impossible when you stop competing in a race that never ends. The race only exists in the mind. And the moment you realize that, you step out of the cycle. This new perspective reshaped not just how I felt, but how I acted. For example, I used to dread Mondays. They were reminders of responsibilities, stress, and the grind. But with the shift, I started seeing Monday as just another sunrise, another chance to live, not as a punishment. It sounds small, but the ripple effect was massive. Instead of dragging my feet, I approached the day with curiosity. What can I learn today? How can I bring presence into each conversation, each task, each challenge? That single question changed the quality of my relationships, my work, and even my inner dialogue. Another part of the shift was recognizing the danger of comparison. Before, I measured my worth against others. Social media made it worse, scrolling through endless feeds of people who seemed happier, richer, more fulfilled. But then I asked myself, if meaning is something I create, how can it ever be compared? Your meaning and my meaning are not in competition. They are as unique as fingerprints. Realizing this cut through years of silent envy and insecurity. Suddenly, instead of feeling like life was a ladder I had to climb faster than everyone else, I saw it as a canvas. And the only question that mattered was, what am I painting with the time I've been given? The mindset shift also forced me to reframe failure. In the old way of thinking, failure was evidence of my inadequacy. It was proof that I wasn't good enough yet, that I hadn't reached the magical, when that would make me complete. But through the new lens, failure became data. It wasn't about who I was, but about what I could learn. And that changed everything. For example, when a project didn't succeed the way I hoped, I didn't spiral into self-doubt. I asked, what meaning can I extract from this? What insight is hidden in this moment? Instead of punishing myself, I became curious. And curiosity opened doors that judgment would have slammed shut. Here's where it gets interesting. When you stop demanding that life gives you meaning and start creating it yourself, you paradoxically feel freer. You're no longer waiting for permission to live. You're no longer waiting for a perfect version of yourself to finally arrive. You're no longer postponing joy. You realize that even in difficulty, even in pain, you can find threads of meaning if you choose to look for them. That doesn't erase suffering, but it transforms your relationship with it. Suffering stops being a void and starts becoming a teacher. This wasn't just philosophy. It became practical psychology for me. I began noticing how my nervous system calmed when I let go of chasing. I paid attention to my breath, my posture, the small ways I was constantly bracing against life. And I asked, what if I don't resist this moment? What if I lean into it instead? The calm that followed wasn't explosive or dramatic. It was subtle, like a weight lifting that I hadn't even realized I was carrying. And once you taste that freedom, you realize how much of life you've been sleepwalking through. But the true test of a mindset shift isn't how you feel on the days when the sun is shining. The emails are answered, and everything goes according to plan. The test is when the storms come. When you're rejected, when the plan falls apart, when you're alone with your doubts at night. Before, I would spiral, asking, why me? Why now? But with this new frame, I started asking, what is this moment here to teach me? And that changed everything. Instead of fear, I felt curiosity. Instead of despair, I felt a strange kind of strength. Because I realized life was no longer happening against me, but happening for me. And when you make that shift, you suddenly stop being at war with reality. Most suffering, I came to see, doesn't come from the events themselves, but from our resistance to them. We cling to how we thought things should be, and when they're not, we break. But when you accept that the only constant is change, you stop breaking, you start bending. And in that flexibility, you find freedom. This isn't just philosophy, it's practicality. That mindset shift helped me reframe my failures not as endpoints, but as stepping stones. Every rejection became redirection. Every loss an invitation to let go of something that was never truly mine. And with each moment of surrender, I gained more energy for what mattered. Do you know how much time we waste fighting reality, replaying past mistakes, rehearsing future tragedies that may never happen? When I stopped doing that, I felt lighter. And with that lightness came clarity. The clarity to see that life is not about controlling every outcome, but about showing up fully for the process. It's about doing the best you can with what you have, right now. And when you do that, something remarkable happens. You become less anxious about the future and less bitter about the past. You start to live, not as a prisoner of what was or what might be, but as a participant in what is. That is where meaning lives. One of the most powerful shifts for me was around self-worth. I used to believe my value was measured by what I achieved, how much I produced, or how well I performed. That pressure was crushing. But the mindset shift helped me see that my worth is not something to be earned. It's something intrinsic, something untouchable. Achievements are wonderful, but they don't define you. Failures sting, but they don't erase you. You are already enough. And when you carry that belief, you stop chasing validation and start living with authenticity. Imagine the difference. Waking up and no longer needing the world's applause to feel okay. Instead, you walk into the day with a quiet sense of sufficiency. Not arrogance, not complacency, but wholeness. That shift changed how I worked, how I loved, and how I spoke to myself. It was like stepping out of a storm and realizing the sky had been blue all along. And here's the paradox. When you stop desperately trying to control everything, when you let go of the frantic chase for success, love, or meaning, you start to attract them. People sense the calm in you. They're drawn to it. Opportunities appear not because you're forcing them, but because you're aligned with them. It's as if life rewards those who stop fighting against its flow. Does that mean life is suddenly easy? No, but it does mean you approach difficulties differently. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" you say, "How can I grow through this?" And that simple refrain turns obstacles into teachers, pain into wisdom, chaos into transformation. I'll be honest, it wasn't overnight. This mindset shift is a practice, not a switch. Some days I still fall into old patterns. I still catch myself worrying, clinging, or resisting. But now I have a compass, a reminder that the storm isn't my enemy, it's part of my evolution. And with that compass, I find my way back to peace more quickly than before. When you make this shift, you notice it in the smallest details. A traffic jam that would have made you furious now becomes a moment to breathe. A harsh comment from someone else no longer defines you, but reveals their inner world. A failure at work doesn't collapse your identity, but teaches resilience. These micro shifts add up until one day you realize your life feels lighter, even if the circumstances haven't changed. What's changed is you. And here's the most beautiful part. When you change your mindset, you don't just transform your own life, you impact everyone around you. Your calmness steadies others. Your acceptance inspires others. Your courage to live differently becomes permission for them to do the same. That ripple effect is real, and it can spread farther than you imagine. So if you're listening to this, maybe you're at a crossroads. Maybe you're tired of the old way of thinking, of being crushed by your expectations, of feeling like life is happening against you. Let me tell you, it doesn't have to be that way. The mindset shift that changed my life can change yours too. It's not about finding a perfect philosophy or adopting someone else's rules. It's about realizing you always have a choice in how you think, in how you respond, in how you see the world. The world outside may not change overnight, but when you shift the lens through which you see it, everything feels different. Meaning emerges where there once was emptiness. Strength appears where there once was fear. And you start to realize the life you've been searching for has been here all along, waiting for you to see it with new eyes. So I'll leave you with this. What would your life look like if you stopped fighting against reality and started flowing with it? How would your relationships, your work, your sense of self transform if you truly believed that everything happening is guiding you, not punishing you? Reflect on that and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if this message resonated with you, if it sparked even a small shift in your thinking, then do me a favor, like this video, and subscribe to the channel. Not just for me, but for you, so you can keep feeding your mind with ideas that empower you, that challenge you, and that remind you of your inner strength. Because the truth is, the greatest transformation doesn't start outside, it starts within. And when you change the way you see the world, you change the world itself.